Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm here to teach you guys the End of Reconstruction. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get through the end of Grant's years and set you guys up for the election of 1876. The election of 1876 actually ends Reconstruction in a really weird way. We're going to find out today, and this will help you guys write your papers, which we can work on in class tomorrow, I hope. So, obviously, Grant, after the amount of scandals he's gone through, isn't looking good to be the president here. So instead, the Republican Party nominates a man by the name of Rutherford B. Hayes. He was the governor of Ohio, was famous for that, and he ends up winning this election in a very weird way. And his opponent is a guy by the name of Samuel Tilden, who's a Democrat from New York, and he gets famous for exposing the corrupt, one of the most corrupt men in history, if you will, named Boss Tweed. And the numbers you're looking at here, the first actually is Hayes. These two are Hayes, 4,037,000 versus 4,284,000. So in the end, Tilden gets more of the popular vote. Hayes is winning the electoral vote by a single vote. And as you can see, Florida, South Carolina, and Louisiana have disputed electoral votes. So they are not going to be able to make a call on this election because neither candidate has a majority. So, in order to solve this, the Electoral Commission was formed to decide where these 20 disputed votes go. The Electoral Commission was composed of 7 Democrats, 7 Republicans, and 1 Supreme Court justice. And the Supreme Court justice, I couldn't make this up, his name is David Davis. And he ends up being kind of a weak-minded person here. They come up with the idea of the Electoral Count Act, where they're going to vote on which way to deliver these electoral votes that are still disputed. And, of course, the 7 Democrats go one way with Tilden, 7 Republicans go the other way with Hayes, and David Davis decides that he's going to abstain, which means that he's not going to vote. He's afraid at the last minute. He thinks too much has fallen on him. He says, you know what, I want to be a senator anyway, not a Supreme Court justice. This is not for me. It's not going to happen. So that doesn't solve our issue of these disputed electoral votes to end this election of 1876. So we have another one. We have to come up with this compromise, which is what you're looking at behind me over here. So we make this compromise in 1877 in Congress to solve the issues that our Electoral Commission couldn't solve because of David Davis. And so it stipulates 8 things. At least here's my summary of the 8 things that it did. It gives the presidency to Hayes, who, as you remember, had 1 more electoral vote, but a little more than 200,000 fewer popular votes. Gets the military out of the South. This is the big bill that gets Hayes into power and eliminates Reconstruction. It's over. The military districts that Congress set up in 1868, gone. And number 3, my point is, it is the end of Reconstruction. Reconstruction is over. That's what the Democrats get in return for putting Hayes in the presidency. Similarly, or in addition, they get 1 cabinet member must be a Democrat. We remember as far back as Lincoln putting in Johnson for that reason, thinking he was going to win the war, wanted to have a Democrat with him in his cabinet. In the end, though, Hayes chooses his postmaster general to be a Democrat, which is not a big deal at all. Next few are to help out the South. Again, for Hayes to becoming the president. The first is land grants, and these land grants are specifically for the railroad. The South wants more railroads, particularly linking them with the West. Remember, the South's infrastructure was crushed after the Civil War, and they want to revive their trade between the South and the West instead of everything going from the South and the West, all railroads going north, and north making the majority of the money off of all this trade that's going on amongst the railroads. The South wanted a piece of the pie. So they were going to get land grants to make sure that they could build more railroads. And number 6 is they're going to get federal funding for infrastructure improvement, construction, anything that could help the South in the wake of the Civil War when they've been damaged so badly. So these 2 are going to kind of help them regain their footing in the wake of the Civil War. And give them preference with some of the money that the federal government was raising to sort of rebuild, in addition to to making sure that politically everything was stable. So politically, the Democrats will respect African American rights. If we remember to the Colfax massacre and U.S. vs. Cruikshank, we remember the issues that the South was having obeying the 14th and 15th Amendment. We talked about voting restrictions, black codes, the KKK, all of these things that are going on. Democratic politicians, for whatever it means, promise that they will make sure that this ends up not being as big of an issue as it's been in the past. And whether that ever works out, it's up for debate. And then lastly, the Democrats get to choose the open Supreme Court seat vacated by our board David Davis from the Electoral Commission. And this has major implications, because when the Democrats put someone in power, as far after this, obviously this is 1877, as 1896, there's a major Supreme Court case called Plessy versus Ferguson. And in Plessy versus Ferguson, the vote goes in favor of what you guys know as the Jim Crow laws, or separate but equal. A guy by the name of Homer Plessy got on an all-white train in New Orleans on a really hot day. In Louisiana, I'm not sure if it was in New Orleans, on a really hot day, gets on the white train. Homer Plessy is an eighth black. He gets arrested. This court case goes all the way to the Supreme Court on whether or not it's okay for him to sit on the white train. And in the end, the Supreme Court rules that as separate but equal, that he has to be on the all-black train if he's black, but that those facilities must be equal. And we all know from our study of history as far back as, I don't know, the second grade, that separate but equal didn't really mean separate but equal. Anyway, that's the long-term significance of number 8 here. Of course, all of these are significant in ending Reconstruction, deciding one of the closest presidential elections we've had, and hopefully getting the South out of their economic problems, politically, hopefully making up for some of the issues we've had in Reconstruction. It's up to you for your papers to decide how effective that is and what the end of Reconstruction really means in American history. I'll see you guys tomorrow.